have collected many unusual glasses. Some glasses are more expensive, some are harder to find, some are more beautiful, some of them are more luxurious. But there is one pair in my collection that might be the most human of them all, because it was inspired by one of the simplest and yet most important rituals of everyday life: laundry. I love traveling. I love beautiful architecture, museums, cathedrals, palaces, parks, all that wealth and monumentality, all those things people build when they dream big. But somehow I'm always drawn to small side streets and neighborhoods, to the places where everyday life happens, where people simply live their lives, walk their children to school, water their plants, hang their laundry. There is something fascinating about laundry. Whenever I turn into a narrow side street and see laundry hanging between the buildings, I know that I have finally reached the heart of that place. And I immediately feel closer to that place. That laundry feels almost like proof that we all belong to the same human family. You can laugh if you want, but laundry always puts me in a good mood and fills me with warmth. And somehow I stop feeling like a stranger. Palaces tell us about kings. Laundry tells us about people. Not long ago, I was in Georgia. From the balcony of the hotel room, I could see laundry hanging on the tiny balconies of an old apartment building across the street. It was fascinating. It was autumn, it was evening, life was happening. To me, laundry has always been a sign of life. Unfortunately, I didn't know back then that one day I would have a channel about glasses. Otherwise, I would have filmed hours of beautiful Georgian laundry. When I was in Armenia, I didn't have this channel either, but there I couldn't resist filming a few videos. There was one apartment in Yerevan that completely fascinated me. Here it is. It looked like an ecosystem of its own. I absolutely love buildings like this. If you have seen my video about Hotel Uzbekistan, you will know exactly what I mean. Some buildings look less like architecture and more like living organisms. And this one completely enchanted me. And you won't believe this. On my very last day in Yerevan, I walked into a bookstore and found a postcard featuring that exact building, the very same one. And of course, there was laundry hanging from the balconies on the postcard too. Most of the countries I have been to place a great value on family life. Russia, the countries of the former Soviet Union, Turkey, where I live now. In these countries, laundry is usually more than just a household chore. It's a way of showing care. It's a way of showing love. Clean shirts, fresh bed sheets, school uniform ready for the next morning. And I suspect Italy is not very different. I have heard many stories about Italian mothers, about how fiercely they love their children, about how devoted they are to their families. I imagine there is quite a lot of laundry hanging in the streets of Italy too. I have recently applied for an Italian visa, and if they approve it, I'm going to visit Italy this autumn. So if I go there, I will report back on the laundry situation. These glasses make me believe that there is a lot of laundry in Italy too. So much of it, in fact, that it inspired Casanova to create these glasses. And after all, Casanova is an Italian brand. They would know. I actually missed out on a pair of these glasses once. They were in Canada and the shipping to Turkey was very complicated. So I decided not to fight for them, and then someone else bought them, and it was sad. But a year later, I found these beautiful glasses in the store of my wonderful Lithuanian seller, and this time they became mine. Here they are, my Casanova Clothespin glasses. They belong to Casanova's Taxi line. Its slogan is Modi di vedere, ways of seeing. Yes, ways of seeing. And I think that is exactly what these glasses are about. Someone noticed this ordinary little phenomenon. Laundry hanging between the buildings, laundry dancing in the wind, and they couldn't resist it. And they saw something worth talking about. So they told that story in the language of eyewear. Fascinating. Their own modi di vedere, their own way of seeing. And it's so interesting. That way of seeing turned out to be very close to my own. And when I saw these glasses, I couldn't resist them either. And I knew they belonged in my collection. So Casanova told this story in the language of eyewear, and I decided to tell this story in my own language here on my channel. These glasses were made in 1985. Only 1,000 pairs were produced. And each one was given its own number. Mine is 209. Let's try them on. These glasses are one of the most amazing things I have ever seen in my life. Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Look at them. And look at this line. It's not straight, you see? Just like a clothesline. I would like to know the person who decided to create these glasses. And the glasses were not cheap, but my wonderful seller gave me a very generous discount. And I want to thank him and to send him a lot of love. Orintas, thank you very much. And I will leave a link to his eBay store below. And I will also leave a link for other Casanova glasses. Because Casanova is such an amazing and unique and extraordinary brand. These are actually my second Casanova glasses, but to tell you the truth, I still have a very long Casanova wish list. There are so many beautiful glasses from Casanova I want to own. When I walk through the streets of Istanbul, I always find myself looking at laundry hanging outside. I love ordinary things, human things, but at the same time, I dream about museums, about rare glasses, about beautiful and extraordinary things. Somehow, all of this coexists perfectly within me. I love my contrasts. Thank you for spending this time with me. This was Tatiana and the Museum of Glasses. I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.